Sweet. And
Gabby,
I
if
think
you,
the should be, is it? Yes.
yeah, it looks like you're recording too.
Sweet.
Super sweet. Let me bring up the outline we had done. I'm going to try and get through this entire bio without like sniffling. So give me just a second to pre-prep.
Your sniffles are welcome here, though.
It's okay to sniffle.
They'll
Everybody.
lubricate the bio.
It's like ASMR.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Eternal Void, but with Jazz podcast. Today, Gabby and I are very, very excited to bring to you our guest, Katharine Lee. Katharine Lee is a somatic and metaphysical psychotherapist, originally from Florence, South Carolina, currently living in Sacramento, California. She'd call her style philosophy in the flesh, operating as an unapologetic psychic grid reweaver, working where the psycho-spiritual collides with biochemical networks of life. Newly licensed and always ancient, she brings 5 years of clinical therapeutic practice braided with lifetimes of initiatory fire into the therapy room, where integrating and embracing trauma is treated as the bread and butter of life's work. As such, her work is now chemical soup pot, mythology, somatics, gestalt, and experimental processes, internal family systems, all simmered with a cosmic blueprint and energetics, mystery school teachings, inner journeying, time travel, mind, body, spirit, sexuality, nervous system science, and enough witchcraft and strategic civil disobedience to keep things tingly. I love that. She believes the greatest act of liberation we can offer ourselves and our communities is rehabilitating our nervous systems. To truly reclaim the dynamic, interconnected sovereignty we need to build the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. She calls it radical self healing for the revolution. Katharine believes our bodies and spirits are divine musical instruments, asking us to learn how to sing, play, tune, harmonize, expand, and transform through both dissonance and resonance, and is here for those who are ready to turn their melody up and metabolize the artifacts of laborious learning into golden living art. Katharine, I love that bio so
Yay.
much. It's been so long. It's so great to see you and hear your voice. How have you been? How's NorCal treating you?
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, that was cool to hear it read. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I thought, like, I gotta live up to, the power of the name of this podcast. So you only live once. Let's just throw it all out there in the bio. That was, yeah, thank you for having this platform and giving me the opportunity to play here with you. NorCal is great. It feels, I can't say I've found any land that feels like, oh, this is home and I should be here forever. But this certainly resonates in my bones really well. Yeah, I love it. I do.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. For listeners that don't know, which would probably be all of them, Katharine and I go way back. We're both from the same hometown, and we met when we were teenagers. And yeah, we're really tight friends for a long time, and then hadn't really talked and maybe on and off for a good while. You've been off doing your thing. I've been doing my thing, and it's so great to see you. Yeah, like this is great. I don't even know where to start, but there's
I
so
know.
much in your bio, and yeah, like there's so much amazing stuff that like I always like knew you were capable of and like thought
Hmm.
thought of you, but I never saw you like never in my mind saw you going into like therapy and metaphysics and
Interesting.
yeah, but like that I guess that just wasn't I mean, that was something like I was looking for at that same time too, but I didn't know I was looking for it, if that makes sense. So therefore, I never really talked about it. So,
Mhm.
we all had our own like personas and faces that we put on in our younger years, and those come off as we get older. But yeah, how did you like tell us a little bit about like how did you find your way in? How's this journey been for you? How did you find your way to this spot?
Mm. I mean, Oh my gosh, what direction do I want to pick to answer that question? Um, I think the first thing that comes up though is my childhood and having a lot of difficult experiences that tore me open and, you know, had me asking big questions from a young age, why does it have to be like this? It be better? And I think I came in choosing to live that difficult first experience. And now I can see it's as the culmination of a whole arc of lifetimes that really led up to that moment. But when I was little, I felt that something is bigger and I can't put my finger on it. Something is unexplained. No one's talking about it and I can't put my finger on it. And so my mom had a bookshelf full of really interesting books on things like touching into metaphysics a little bit. Like there was the Seth Speaks series about channeling. There was,
What?
yeah,
Oh,
there was
wow. Okay.
astrology.
Yeah.
There was sexuality. There was like um, oh, the Heidi Report, the My Secret Garden, like these women's fantasy stories. There was a nice Nin, and also Eastern spirituality. So I had all these little clues, and they were above my head as a little one, but I knew they all had something, and I would kind of secretly hoard them and keep them in special places in the bookshelves and mark them so I could always find them again and read them when she was gone. When she was at work, because I was a latchkey kid and had a lot of alone time. Also was an only child. Um, an only child with social problems and anxiety. And so yeah, yeah. And then like, the traumatic things that had happened really started to catch up to me and life got a lot harder internally, especially. And it was a combination of physical and psychological things, just all different kinds, complex. And then the harder it got, the more that what is this felt dark and heavy and just pushed me in different directions of exploration. And then it was, also including the intense psychic depths you go to when you're using drugs and alcohol
Yes.
and getting into, crime and behaviors that push push the limits of like, what is known even
Yeah.
to a person, what is allowed, what is real, what is not real. So that inner psychic worlds just started really fragmenting and ripping open
Hmm.
um and it it didn't push me down in a way that I thought I would never come out from. Like I had moments like that, but there was that something, that little something, and I can't put my finger on it, something. What is this? Surely it means something should be better than what I'm experiencing. And whatever that was, a guardian thread that kept me tethered to this earth. I needed it and it did. And I remember like right before going into the deep darkness, I read a book on string theory when I was like 13 or 14. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be okay. Everything's connected. It's all okay. Ghosts are real. There's a way to explain that with science because I like science. Religion freaks me out, but I think there's something to it. So I was like, cool. All right, I'm going to be okay. And somehow that subconsciously acted like a tether for me to really go into those really deep, dark places I went for so many years. And then came out the other side, and um, I realized I had put the magic down a little too long. that like,
Yeah.
what is this? Wanting to be curious about it. And so things happened. Things came into my life. People came into my life to start to like spark that again. And that kind of optimism I'd always had. Michelle, I don't know if you remembered just wanting to be in the space of love and connection, even though it was really, really hard.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had a car accident. And that car accident just it broke the bottom open in a good way. It was
Which one
hard.
was
It was
that?
really that was the one when I was 25. That was the DUI, DIY. It was a
Oh,
do-it-yourself car accident. It was, because thank goodness it was only me.
I'm so glad you're okay.
Um,
I don't know if we were in contact then.
we were.
We were.
We were. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were.
Well, yeah, I
It's
guess we would have been. That's
it
yeah.
was a hard time. So that was life-changing. I
Yeah.
was luckily not too broken, just a little broken.
Yeah.
And recovery took about a year. And during that process, I started to have my spiritual awakening. And it was rapid. Once it got going, it was like full steam ahead because that had been waiting for eons of time for me to like remember all of this stuff. And so now I'm 41. So there's been quite a big chunk of time between then. But,
Yeah.
every piece that came was like, all that hunger inside of me getting to go, oh my God, yes, 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 this, more.
Totally get where you're coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And somehow I got here. Somehow, I knew like I got to put this stuff to good use. I got to put my experience and my pain to good use. How am I going to do that? I don't know. I thought about becoming a hypnotherapist. It's funny, I'm actually thinking of that again now. Many years later, I'm like, oh, I think it's time to come back to that. Um, but I needed to leave the old, so I took my life to the West Coast. That was a really symbolic move and really helpful. And it allowed me to go deeper into my trauma, actually. I didn't know that. I thought this was going to be, yes, I'm going to like go into a career. I'm going to build this. I'm going to do amazing things and share, at vast scales. And no, that's not what happened. I actually began even more of a dissolution process.
I
Um,
I know
yeah.
how that goes. My move to the north was very similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny how we think, what we think is going to happen and then what does. And, it's like when people say that you don't really want to know when you're going to die. Do you really want to know when things are going to happen? And I see the value in not knowing because if
Yeah.
someone tells you like, hey, I know you want the next decade of your life to be like this, well, it's not. It's going to be the
Yeah.
opposite. You're going to be
Hmm.
dying on every level.
Yeah.
you know, who's going to want to do it then? You got to meet things as they come. And like that's the real test of like your willingness to step in or not.
I Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% with you. That's amazing. So you had all these experiences. You had like rapid fire, like spiritual awakening, and you moved out west. And then at some point, you went to school to become a psychotherapist, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that.
Now,
I
is
just
that
woke up
originally what
one
you went to
day.
school for? Or was that like a change? Because I know you did some schooling in South Carolina as well. But
Yeah, well, undergrad, definitely different. I was an art major
oh, yeah.
and I did, that chocolate business with my best friend at the time
Oh, I
while I
forgot
was
all about
Oh,
in
that.
how
the
fun.
rapiding away. Yeah. Oh man, it was amazing. Like those were some magical years for sure because I was in the middle of the awakening and everything I was um contemplating and having a cellular opening about was going into the food I was making. It was going into the chocolates. I was also a baker at the time. It was going into
Oh,
that food. And I was in love with my best friend too. And that was interesting because we were only ever best friends. But I think what was happening was I had never had that safe masculine presence ever, and I'd had so much trauma from the masculine
Yeah.
that, like, given this was my first experience of like deep love, like soul level love.
Hmm.
And it just, again, like that was also its own version of shattering.
Right.
And it was hard to handle, for a system that had so much it had been holding for so long. And granted, it put a pressure on the relationship from my end for sure, but I was also just opening to the idea of the transfiguring power of divine love and cosmic love and the fabric that we're all in. And so
Yes.
it was all like, yeah, like this is cool. And I was singing and dancing and feeling, more happy in my skin than I had ever felt. I had like deep, deep depression and self-loathing and poor image, self-image and insecurity and shame for my whole life.
Hmm.
So anyway, all that was going into the food, and people were coming back to tell me, why does it feel like I'm on drugs when I eat these muffins? What did you put in this chocolate? I am now on drugs. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Here's some witchcraft. Here's some
Yeah.
magic. Here's the energy, the lived experience of a lot of these really uh, esoteric spiritual teachings that I'm remembering and relearning about. Oh, this is it live. And that was a really cool time to be into and to see
Yeah.
how powerful we are in that way with the power of our emotions, the power of our state of mind.
Yeah.
And then it changes the fabric of what we touch.
It
Right.
absolutely does. And that is amazing. Like that was about the time in our like journeys where we were starting to lose touch. And I always kind of
Yeah.
wondered like what you were up to. And like, yeah, that is, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. And that's so cool. I had no idea.
That's what was happening in Hartsville, South Carolina.
Heck yeah, Hearts Vegas, baby.
Hearts
Um,
Vegas, baby,
yeah.
yes.
Gabby, you and I have talked about
Little
Hartsville
town, big
before
heart.
for other
Yeah.
reasons, but
Mhm.
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a really cool name.
It
Um,
does. It does.
yeah. Um, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
those times and like that makes perfect sense and like yeah, okay, cool. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Catherine. I was just thinking like I'm over there like piecing these together is like I guess backing up a little bit, maybe this doesn't really lead into a question, but something I did want to like mention. Um, Stuff that happened like hanging out at your house as like
Mm.
rowdy, like lost children cohorts doing all sorts of things we shouldn't do, like, and doing it really like exploring pushing limits. Like
Mhm.
we were dangerously good at that. And
Mhm.
it was in retrospect kind of scary. But I remember one particular get together at your house. You grabbed my attention and the way I remember it is our friend Myers had brought over like a mix CD or
Mm.
a mixtape that contained this up and coming band called Coheed and Cambria. And you
Yes.
were like, you need to listen to this. And what we were listening to were like some random tracks from Second Stage Turbine Blade.
Yeah.
That just like something in that just grabbed my soul and stuck with me through like some of the hardest times in my life. And it came around to this podcast, the first run of this podcast. I invited a guest on the podcast who would later become like my best friend for a long time, just an awesome person. And they were like, so what's the deal with the eternal void, but with jazz? Like what's the name? And I was like, well, music's something that's really important, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we got to talking about music and they were huge Coheed fans too. And I was like, okay, I need to speak with this person. I need
Yeah.
to see where this goes. And that turned into like this whole thing that turned into like some really powerful illumination
Mm.
and not to lie, like some really difficult times and like some regrettable times and like all of that. But it was part of the path of figuring oneself out, right?
Mhm.
And just a little bit closer to the center and
Mm.
finding the healing. And the same time you were making chocolate, I was like still in like a pretty dark place and like repressing a lot and like everything that comes with that, particularly like drinking and like. But one thing I was also doing was like studying music, and I still think like music has a very particular like powerful way to facilitate healing that maybe we can touch on later. But and art as well. I want to, yeah, music and art is such a great way to get in touch with that healing space. Maybe we could talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to. The music, especially. I mean, yeah, I was an art major. Art school dropout, actually. I still have this fantasy that maybe later in life I'll get to like finish that.
You got
Um,
this. I
because
What
believe in
it's
kind
you.
of art?
um what kind, like subject
Yeah.
matter or what mediums?
Both. Yeah.
Yeah. I the thing that wants to come out of me naturally whenever I do
Mm.
stop to do it is like energy paintings. Like
Ooh.
they're they can be kind of symmetrical. They kind of look like, if you're on psychedelics and you see an elemental in the woods, like kind of looks
Right.
like it's like that kind of thing. Like the kind of stuff that's coming out of a lot of people, I think, that are like,
Yeah.
dropping in and tuning in and just f feeling like trying to visualize what these things feel like on dimensions we can't see yet. Um, so probably like that, and with lots
I
of
love it.
color because I love color.
Right? Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. But music. So punk rock saved my soul. That is definitely something I have said and will say, put it on my tombstone. And it's
Yeah.
probably why I tried to find my Bad Religion shirt before the podcast. So, Michelle, you could see it and it could just like be in that memory of how necessary it was in those dark times to have that pulse, a rhythm,
Yes.
something to hold the crazy together.
Yeah.
And it did exactly that. It was a containment field. It was also
Mm-hmm.
a field of resonance. Like, yeah, you feel like this. Look, here is a musical soundscape that will match what you're feeling. And that did wonders to like soothe the nervous system and bring
Mm-hmm.
things together, even if just briefly, while listening. And it's my first, I always say my first somatic practice was singing because when I was in first or second grade, my teacher taught us a song. I would sing it for you on the podcast if you want. I don't know, but she taught us a song and it did something to me I could not explain. I felt the feels, and I didn't feel really good as a kid. I was kind of screwed up from a young age. So I was like, what is this? Oh my God, I want more of that. And I got brave enough to ask my teacher. And, and I told her, like, this feels good. How do I have more of that? I'm pretty sure I said it just like that.
Yeah.
And I remember her being really kind. Her name was Miss King. And she was an African American woman and one of the sweetest teachers I remember. You don't remember all your teachers. You remember the ones who could really connect with you.
Yeah.
And she did. There's a lot of, people really overlooked me and other kids like me. We slipped through the cracks. But she was like, "Well, you can join the chorus." And I was like, "Okay, well, I need to do that now, actually." And she was like, "I'm sorry, you have to be in third grade to join the
Oh.
chorus."
Aw.
So I played the recorder, real disgruntled for a year until I could get into chorus. And then, as a teenager, again, when things were getting really bad, music just went on to be that like my saving grace in the
Yeah.
dark, in the bathroom, in the car once I got old enough, just singing as loud as I
Yes.
could to move the energy. It had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the dancing. And I remember being with Lydia King,
Yes.
13 years old, maybe 14. Nope, I'm lying. I had a day license. However old you
That's when I
are.
first met you. I
Okay.
remember I just have vivid memories of you and Lydia having to be somewhere back to your
at
house
the
quick because the
at the
day
Swamp Fest.
license was about to. Yeah, I think that might have been the first time we met.
Okay, wow, because that moment like changed my life.
Wow.
So at a trailer out in the middle of nowhere, a bunch of like dirty, slimy kind of garage metal-ish bands playing outside. Do you remember that?
Um, I wasn't there for that.
That wasn't that. Okay.
No,
Well,
but I
something
was
very
I was
similar.
in that moment quite a
That
few
moment.
times in South
Yeah.
Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, slam dancing for the first time.
Oh hell yeah.
I am super drunk. I was like lifted off the planet into a space that had less pain,
Yeah.
had less, you know, of the existential crushing feeling I felt all the time. And
Hmm.
again, I thought, oh my God, I have to have more of this.
Right.
Yes, please. And that was that. And then within like a year, I think somebody had introduced me to punk rock and then the Cootie Hut. And there we go. So that became like a really big somatic therapy for a very long
Yeah.
time. And and then during my awakening years, I got really into the science of vibration and frequencies and what are called sacred frequencies
Yes.
and of specific proportions and that resonate, within specific bands of information. And um, that blew me open more than anything else I came into in those original kind of early awakening years. Everything about that felt 100% believable. Not an inch of me ever questioned any of it, even though it was wild in contrast to what we've been taught.
Yes.
And I was going pretty deep into the esoteric, a part of it too. So that is, we all know our history has been entirely covered up and lied about and altered. So, but I know it, no, it was, I knew it was right and I knew it was important. I knew it was really important, going to be important for humanity and important for me.
Yeah.
And that is still true to this day. And working that into not only my own personal healing, but my work, as a guide for others. Frequency, vibration, sound are a big part of it. In the
Absolutely.
therapy room and in my personal room all the time with me. Um, and there's something that comes up to share that seems really important is a woman I met maybe 4 years ago, and I
Okay.
was seeing her as a client. So I was a client, she was a practitioner, and I think she was a psychic medium. And she said, I know this is going to sound weird, but you just need to sigh more.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew enough. I knew enough already at that time. I knew what it all could mean. And I even knew enough about vagus nerve, the vagus nerve, right?
Yes.
But there was, of course, there's a part of you that's like, are you serious? Like, all my problems and my trauma, and you're gonna ask me to like sigh more. But mostly I just took it and I was like, all right, yep, okay, let's
I've
see.
been in that
And
exact same spot. Yeah, I feel you.
and she's right.
Yeah.
And I get to say that exact thing to people now, and know these things they don't seem like they're much because they aren't. They're fundamental to the
Yeah.
fabric of creation. It's it's not anything to have to figure out, really. Like our body just knows it. It's why we sigh and hum and he and haw naturally.
Right.
When things are good, when things are bad, because there's excess energy and we need to move it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, all of that trauma gets it all tangled up. Your parents or like authority figures as a kid, like telling you, to be quiet or to disappear or to
Oh,
not make that sound. And like that energy starts to get tangled and
man.
twisted and bottled up. And then that becomes the new habit. And then the next thing you know, you're like, yeah, you're here making a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of us can relate to the frog in the throat. We've all felt that.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
And like one of the things, like the biggest thing I've had to work on, like especially since coming out as trans, is like so many voice and throat issues. Like I've
Yes.
got a great like new vocal therapist that like works on the border of like exercising vocalization and
Hmm.
esoterica, and it's
Mm,
been wonderful. But it also has been helping me reset my vagus nerve because like a lot of the
yeah.
times, like being alone in like big new city, like where I'm like don't know really where, like super new here and didn't know where to go for like the first like 6 months I was here. I didn't have like a working phone, so I didn't have GPS, so I could only drive to like places I already knew or just accept that I was going to get lost, and like it was scary, right?
Mm,
um so like I've been spending a lot of time in the last year specifically like really trying to reset like my vagus nerve and my
yeah.
fascia. And I know you wrote a little bit about that to us before we recorded. I would like to hear your thoughts on that and maybe talk about like the vagus nerve and fascia a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So important. And it really is like the next frontier of, what I think we need to just know. We should be taught these things from an early age. We need to be taught more about our psychology and also about the body and how the body interfaces with energy and uses it to make itself. And the fascia, wow, like I I actually started understanding that from a very esoteric standpoint before
Mm.
more of a biological
See, the
standpoint.
the first time I heard it was in physical therapy in like 2019. And
Okay.
now I'm hearing lately, I've been hearing it more and more in like an esoteric standpoint. But maybe for those who aren't aware or haven't heard the term before, what is fascia?
The fascia is from this little lady's definition. See, it feels to me like a correspondence to what the geometric matrix that holds the cosmos together, that energy, light energy, any kind of energy flows between
Hmm.
through. It's that in the body. So it's the physical correspondence of that as above, so below. There's correspondence at every level in the body. So it really feels like a network, um, a webbing that interpenetrates everything. It's not like a sheath. It isn't on the outside. It's not surrounding the organs. It's interwoven through everything.
Yeah, my understanding
And
was it was like a very thin tissue that was like in between the muscles and the skin, in between different organs, like,
yeah,
but
that's a
also
limited
like
understanding.
wholly connected to the central nervous system in a way that is just very perceptible to the body in like every manner possible.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a mix, but my
Yeah.
understanding is it's the that it isn't just that layer in between. Like it is there, and maybe it's easier to see there, but that it does penetrate through. And I
Hmm.
think it does that at more subtle and more subtle levels as it gets through, to denser and denser places.
Right. Yes.
And that it is a liquid crystal network. It
Oh
is
my,
the network that moves light information through. And there are a few networks that do that, the Meridian network and the Nadi's network and Stargate's network. Not go there too far, but the fascia is a part of that. And there's a connection between like um sort of the more rarefied um energies that need to come into the body and then be used by the body to create it and keep it functioning, that
Hmm.
the cerebrospinal fluid and the fascia network are that bridge of the non-physical and the physical.
Right. Yes.
mm, that makes sense.
And that the information through the fascia moves at the speed of light. So what happens in the fascia happens first, and then your muscles or any other things involved can respond. So
Hmm.
movement, for example, happens in the fascia, and then your muscles come to support the 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 spin, because it's all spinning. We'll talk about that too, of the fascia. They're just there to guide it, but we're held up by fascia, not muscles. The muscles are like some strength, but we aren't held up by them. We're not really held up by bones either. We're held up by the fascia in this what they call a tensegrity, like tension integrity
Okay.
system. And because unlike a bone or a muscle, if you pull one, the others don't move. But the
Yeah.
fascia, on the other hand, as soon as you start to move it, the whole body responds.
Yeah, it's definitely like feels like a webbing from my experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And it moves in spirals, it moves in rhythms,
Hmm.
it moves in it moves like music moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Which
so
is
it
interesting.
responds
Yeah.
well.
Like I remember as like a teenager when all like the bad stuff was like happening with me and like I was escaping into music just as you were, like I would get that tensile release of my body and not realize that it was all like the stress and fear and trauma that was stored in my fascia releasing. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, how do I get more of this? And
Yeah.
that led to like, a deep, deep love of music and also like into like some more unhealthy places that, eventually had to pull myself back from. Oh, but it is that like release of fascia that is like almost a very spiritual experience in some ways. And one thing I've been noticing in like my own healing journey, like, not to give too much away or like not to be TMI, but I've had like some deep breakthroughs in like therapy sessions in my past and like following immediately like saying the words of realization or saying the thing like in conversation with my therapist, I will get a deep tissue fascia release like around like certain areas in my upper back that just
Hmm.
travels like a wave through my entire body. And if you don't know what's happening, like it's been a precipitated like panic attacks, right? Because like
Hmm.
everything inside feels like it just got rearranged. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
been one of my panic attack
Mhm.
triggers in the past until I was able to name and understand exactly what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a powerful experience when we release at that level from the fascia. It is. It's otherworldly, and I'm so accustomed to it now. I mean, I have massive, massive releases. I chose to, I think some people can relate to this. I'll name it. I my soul chose this lifetime to be, and I think we've even discussed this before, Michelle, a um oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart right now. But a lifetime where you consolidate everything,
Yes. Okay.
which isn't the
Yeah.
word I'm looking for.
I know what you're talking
Um,
about.
but
Yeah. You just
but
decide you're going to speed
everything that
run
came
like
before, yep, it's like,
eons of trauma.
yep, all of it. We're doing all of it right now in a
Yes.
body, in the middle of a life.
Yes.
And and that is intense, right? It's
Hmm.
intense. And so I do have to have a lot of session work like myofascial release, craniosacral, osteopathic, which is a new frontier of like
Yeah.
amazing subtle work that is going really deep. Um, and these things that go through the body are explosive. I mean, they really are. It's like sudden floods, like you were just
Yes.
saying. And I've been doing this for so long now, I get it, but I often think like, wow, if, if the average person just had something like this happen out of the blue, it would be destabilizing. They wouldn't know what to do with it. Or, and what usually happens, they shut it down and don't even allow it. So
Yeah.
where these things could be happening, and I think this is what I try to show my clients so that even beyond what we're doing together, they can soften their system enough and open their system enough so that this information can come and release whenever it wants.
Hmm.
Because during the day, stuff will just come out and it's gone in seconds, and that's great. But my system's also open to it.
Yeah.
I'm not resisting it. I'm not pushing it down, making it wrong, being weird about it, clamping down my emotions, shutting, you know what I mean? Like we're so taught, so many of
Yeah.
us are taught to
Right.
shut it down and be disconnected from the body, et cetera, et cetera. So, the more we can just be curious um, about the activity, like there's so much information traveling through our bodies. It's not just ours. It's our parents, it's their parents, it's the collective we live in. It's, whatever we believe about our soul's history. It's all of that, all at once, everything everywhere, all at once.
Yes.
Love that movie. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I could actually jump in with a question because like I feel like I'm really curious, like what does this work really look like with your clients? Like I know you can't share the specifics of, individual sessions, but like kind of like what does a general session kind of look like when
Mm.
you're introduced to somebody who has never like heard of fascia or like the importance of like releasing, all of this trauma and like this tension? Like how do you guide them through that process?
Yeah. Well, where I am right now, there's some talk about fascia with my clients. I'm more in the vagus nerve realm in terms
Yeah.
of like that psychoeducation. And then of course there's been previous psychoeducation on like our internal family systems, our internal parts network, and how what it means when we say the issues are in the tissues, which means the fascia. Turns out. Um, um, so what it could look like is, you know, what's going on in your body right now? Just what are you arriving with? Because I trust their subconscious to know what we're doing. They know what happens in a session. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you sit in front of a healer and like you think you're good, and then you sit down in front of somebody who's like deeply connected and they ask you how you're doing, and you just suddenly you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
not
you just start
okay.
crying. You know,
Yeah,
I've been there.
so it's like that. And the more I know that, the more I get to give their bodies permission to know that, even without us talking about it. It's a transference of information and coherence through the field.
Mm.
So there's a lot of that going on where I'm holding specific information and inviting their body to know it as well and remember it as well. And sometimes I talk directly to their subconscious or have them talk to their subconscious and inviting them into something. But yeah, so there's the assumption that whatever's going to come is going to be useful. And it's a
Mm.
doorway. Anything is a doorway. So, um, my background in like experiential and process-based work really helps with that because then I can make all manner of invitations into that doorway to open it up and start allowing the energies to come through. So, where do you feel that in your body when you say it, when you're talking about this? And then breathe into that more. Slow down and breathe into that more. What are you noticing? What arises? What arises in your awareness? So, what thoughts, smells, what sounds, what images, memories, sensations, any of it? It's all useful because it's the subconscious giving you pieces. And any of those little pieces can become a doorway. So I really just use my intuition then at that point to find like what feels more energetically salient and also what they're offering in terms of what their system is kind of telling me they're available for or they want in what direction they want to go. And then it could go into parts work. If you're familiar, it could go into like working with inner children and offering a missed experience. Maybe we get to offer that inner child the thing they didn't get in that moment by creating it now,
Mm.
by resourcing our nervous systems with that central self energy of coherence and unconditional acceptance and care without attachment. And that gets to change things through time. So you're going back into the moment of that nervous system that had a difficult experience, and now you're offering it co-regulation
Mm.
through something else that we're holding now in our awareness, and then that changes time. So that now changes their current experience because they've gone back in time and offered this coherent energy, this loving witness energy, maybe that wasn't there. Sometimes we'll interact with parts directly, like we appear in the space as the age we are now, and have lots of different things can happen through that. Sometimes we're more like observing and encouraging things to happen that couldn't have happened before. Another way it can go is working working more symbolically with whatever maybe like imagery comes up for them. Like a working metaphor is great. That is like super juicy territory because then you get to bring up all that cellular archetypal stuff. And um, my clients have their eyes closed a lot. I will say that. There's
Right.
a lot of guided imagery experience. Sometimes things get a little more esoteric depending on the client and what's available and what I think is going to be useful. And I also love to just follow, the idea is to invite them into trusting their own system. So I can get out the way and just keep holding these mirrors up for what their own deeper intelligence is offering. And that's when I think people can have um, those experiences of um, peak experiences in altered states where they really get that flood of um, energy from the soul that comes
Mhm.
in. That's super healing on its own. It can look like so many different things. It's kind of a hard question to answer because I have, like the bio said, quite a soup pot
Yeah.
of techniques for sure.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And I love the way that you blend like these different modalities together and really find like a way that they harmonize. Like I know for me, not to get like too TMI, but I have a habit of like intellectualizing my emotions
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
intellectualizing my trauma. Like it's something I don't really bring down into the body
Yeah,
as often. So
yeah,
like having these techniques that you can employ to kind of work through those feelings in a way that maybe is a little bit less overwhelming and a less sudden.
yeah,
So like yeah, like being in control of that sort of release, like that moment. And I think
yeah,
it's really cool that you hold space for people to really work through it at their own pace and in their own time. Because I know that's an important part of healing as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, especially for therapy, that really is important
Mhm.
there is like trusting their pacing and not needing to rush it. And on the other hand, my particular style is and wanting to empower people,
Yeah.
because I don't want to, let's not be in therapy forever. Time is speeding up in an interesting way. Speeding up, slowing down, it's kind of doing both. It's a little
Yeah.
destabilizing. Um, so there is a lot of psychoeducation on tools and just like practicing the practices. Um, and it's something that's coming right now that I want to invite you both into. That's a little hack to get out of the head. I have a ton of getting out of the head hacks, but this one is coming right now. So, are you open to trying it?
Sure.
Sure,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm down.
Um, and someone taught me this part of it, and then the other part I kind of added on. And it worked so well. I was like, man, this is gold. I'm gonna use this. And I have for the past like almost 10 years. So close your eyes. Close them or open, doesn't matter. But just notice where your eyes are. How far forward are they? Where do they feel like they're sitting in your like face area? And how's your mind right now? How does the brain space feel just where you are now? Now imagine that your eyes are being drawn to the back of your head as if they originated in the curve at the back of the skull. And of course, this is subtle since the physical eyeballs don't move very much when you do that. But notice what happens when you invite them to soften back. This is step one. And this step already usually does a lot. And now the nerves that usually, run through the brain to the back of the eyeballs, now those nerves are actually like arms and legs running down to the base of the spine. So the nerves that connect to the back of your eyes originate from the base of your spine. And then notice what that does. And there's a few things that happen for most people here. One is that they suddenly feel their whole body, whereas before they just felt their head or their face. So now they have a body. They also notice that there's a softness that wasn't there before. The mind is softer, quieter. And whatever that mysterious center is that you might all be looking for, that can seem easier to feel. I'm curious how this is for you. You both look really blissfully send out right now.
This is very true. I am feeling very zenned out right now. That is a very effective exercise.
Yeah. Wow. Like
Right?
it's so simple, but incredibly powerful. Like I feel different.
Yeah, same, Gabby. Yeah, like I feel like I'm connected to my chair in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We operate from the eyes a lot, being the kind of beings we are, vertical
Hmm.
beings,
Mm.
highly intellectual, have bodies, etc. And the living in the upper part of the body, living in the head that happens for so many of us in the modern age is it actually gets super concentrated in the eyes.
Mm.
Hmm.
And then the eyes are like bulging out of your head. You're like you're ahead of yourself. You're not here right now. You're somewhere in the future trying to jump out. And it creates a hypervigilance too with that. And it causes strain, causes headache strain and pressure on those nerves right there, and even pressure on the frontal lobes. And so yeah, I don't know. Those have been a few of my guesses too for why, one reason why it works so well and so quickly. But yeah, that's a good hack.
It really is. And I hope everyone who's listening along, like if you didn't follow along with that exercise, please rewind and give it a try. I mean, obviously not if you're driving or anything, but if you're
Yeah, I'm
sitting at
gonna go
home,
back in
Well,
editing
just
and
do it
put a
with your
little
eyes
warning ahead of time.
open.
yeah, yeah, like make sure you're sitting down. But yeah, if you try it, yeah, I felt like a release in my scalp and the back of
Hmm.
my neck.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
felt like
that
a pretty good lower back release, and like the
Mm,
fascia on my ankles and feet are like wiggling open. So like,
mm.
yeah, it
Love
was
that.
really good.
Love that. Yeah, I know my body's wanting to like make little swirly motions now
I love
because I
it.
did it too.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, there's so
Mm.
much more.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We'll do
like
another episode.
we
Right?
absolutely could do another episode because
Yeah.
I honestly lost track of time from when we hit record, but I think we're getting pretty close to that hour mark we like to hit. Um, I would love to have you back on another episode if you're down and talk about like some of maybe like the weirder experiences we've had and share some of that and talk
I would
about
love
healing
to.
and talk about the intersection of healing with that.
Yes,
Um,
Absolutely.
please. Thank you. Might be an honor.
we would love to have you. Gabby, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask? Maybe we can get one more question in.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, is there anything that you would like to leave with our listeners before we, decide to close it up? Any other like little bits of advice or tips and techniques that, maybe they can use throughout their day?
Mhm. Um, well, the phrase that's coming is trust your body.
Mm,
We so often want to think we're being betrayed by our body because it may be doing things like expressing health challenges, etc., or nervous system hypervigilance when, we think like, oh, we've integrated so much and like why does our body still feel like this? So trust your body. That phrase is wanting to come. Um, because you know, it's talking to you at all times. And um, it's just what an honor to have a vehicle that can have these kind of experiences, like angels must be bored. They don't get to eat chocolate and have sex and like whatever, They don't get that. They don't get to have their hearts ripped open.
that is an interesting perspective, though, and it really does, make you grateful to have like this kind of embodied experience. Because, yeah, otherwise you could never have those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the trust your body is like, even when it's expressing in a way that's uncomfortable,
Mm,
trust that it's a release, it's an unwinding. Let it happen. Um, how we feel about it is the biggest part of our experience, that
Yeah.
makes the difference. It's the difference between suffering and not suffering.
mm,
Um, and then the the hack about sighing, I mean, I'll name that again,
mm,
right? Like the more your voice holds your codes on it. So when you are using that voice from a place of like feeling deeply connected, even if it's just talking like I am now,
mm,
it is giving your body the code reminders it needs to be in that really beautiful, coherent blueprint state of you, the wholeness of you. So the sighing, the humming, the talking to yourself, the singing, um, letting your voice like get richer, doing chakra toning, like all of it, any of it, and you know, just to be more playful with that and invite it in, invite the whimsy in too. I
mm.
think that's another helpful a helpful hack for everyone, especially in these times that we can really use.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think that's a fabulous way to kind of bookmark or bookend this episode. And but yeah, before we go, we like to give a little shout out to either a mutual aid group or a charity. And you chose NorCal Resist. So would you like to tell us like a little bit more about that group, why you chose it, kind of work they do, anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I found them recently, so
Yeah.
I'm still getting to know them, but I know they offer a lot of resources to the community, like book clubs, all the way from book clubs to we're going to fix your headlights. We're going
Oh.
to give you some like assistance for like daily living needs. So they're just a cool, social justice, but also like community connecting group that is doing fun things. And I've noticed they've got a calendar full of stuff for Sacramentones. And yeah, that makes me really happy. The person who told me about them mentioned them because they have a um, like a drop-in second and fourth Saturday of the month kind of thing where you can get your headlights fixed and you don't have to be this poor or that needy. You just have to be someone who wants your headlights fixed and they'll welcome you in and they'll do what they can to get you off and running again. And I thought, wow, whoever that is, like that's doing something really cool.
Right?
It
Yeah.
reminds me of that sense of the generosity of spirit and the spirit of generosity and how we just should be sharing resources. There's enough resources to go around.
Right? Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And it sounds
Yeah.
like they're doing some fabulous work. So, like for those who are interested in learning more, we will have the link to that in the show notes. So, yeah, please check them out. Donate if you can, or just learn more about what they offer. And if you're in the area, be sure to check it out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very cool. Katharine, thank you so much. We look forward to talking with you again. Hope you have a great
Mhm.
day. Everybody, thank you for checking out this episode of the Eternal Void, but with Jazz podcast. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a review. It really helps us get out there in front of more people and get people like Katharine's message out there. Speaking of, Katharine, where can people find you?
Well, I have a website, Catherine Lee Therapy Arts. So all of that. And Catherine is spelled with two A's, Katharine, like Catherine Hepburn, in case you need to look it up later. Maybe saying Catherine Hepburn will jog your memory. But CatherineLeeTherapyArts.com is where you can find me. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you
Yay.
so much. And don't forget, we have a Ko-Fi link. You can donate to the show should you like, help us with the hosting costs and keep the lights on and that kind of thing. This has been another episode. We look forward to more great guests and talking to y'all soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.